Welcome to Storyteller Tarot. Today's video is sponsored by Wolf of the Future by A.D. McLean. Mara is a werewolf, powerful, beautiful, alone. Billy never knew about the paranormal world that existed right in front of his eyes. All he knew was his feelings for this strange woman he couldn't get out of his head. With an ancient betrayal weighing on her conscience and an old friend who wants her dead, no one she cares about is safe. Mara must face the past she tried to forget and open her heart to the love she never dared to hope for. But does she have what it takes to set things right? If you enjoyed that short description of Wolf of the Future by A.D. McLean, stick around after today's reading for a short excerpt from that book. Now, when we were doing the card draw today, two of our tarot cards, the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Coins, they both came out reversed, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. Our Wheel of Fortune card, number 10 here in the tarot, when this comes out upright, it can indicate some sort of a positive change. But when it's reversed, you can have an unexpected disturbance, some sort of instability. So needing to be prepared for contingencies. You don't want to try to build on shaky ground because you can't have success that way. You need to build on a firm foundation. Now, the Eight of Cups here, when it's upright, also talks about some sort of a turning point. Contemplation, seeking meaning and moving on, often from some sort of just things that you're not enjoying in your life and you're deciding to move on and go to something new. When it's reversed, it can indicate a deep disappointment about the end of something, end of a relationship, end of a career, dwelling on the unfortunate turn of events that blinds you to the positive opportunities. So often you stay in an unhealthy situation rather than facing that discomfort of change. This card's all about perspective. If you get stuck in the past, you get stuck in that disappointment, you don't do the change that you need to do. Or if you are pushed into the change, you're deeply disappointed, and the instability of that change can cause you a lot of problems. It becomes the unexpected disturbance. But if you change that mindset and you get clarity on the situation, then that change could be positive. It could be the change that you need in your life. Over here, one of our dragon cards here that we drew is number 1, Vision, contemplating the future. When you're contemplating the future, you get that information that you need. You're contemplating those changes, just like that Eight of Cups needs to do. He needs to contemplate and look around and seek information about the changes. Now let's look a little bit more about this dragon card that we have. The constellation for this card is Lupus, wolf. It says here, the wisdom of the herald. What is your place in the stars, and what is your future? Sometimes it is difficult to discern, but gazing out into the great unknown is worthwhile nonetheless. Develop your vision and gaze out into your future to harness your knowledge of the path that best serves you. Open your eyes with innocence and wonder. The wisdom of the dragon. Gaze forth with eyes that pierce into the veil of the very galaxy, and know that the answer to each question you ask can be found in your mind's eye. Look within. You have a mighty vision and ability to see what comes next. Tap into your intuitive powers. Seek and you will find. Go on a vision quest. Harness your ability to gaze into the future with confidence. Now is the time to contemplate and harness your wisdom for the great journey ahead. Another card that we drew here says, trust your inner wisdom. This is the Woodwife card. So if you are looking around, you're gazing into the unknown, trust that inner wisdom that you get from that journey, from that looking into things, and use that to make that decision, to get the perspective that you need in order to reverse things from that bad situation, that disturbance, into positive change. Now, the Ten of Wands. This card is about overburden, too much work, an imbalance. There's a determination for success. Look, she's gathered all of these wands. She's carrying them all with a determined look on her face. She's ready to get that work done, but there's no balance. She's working so hard without taking care of herself in the process. We've got here, I am more important than the things I need to do. She needs to learn the lesson about the balance, about learning how to take care of herself, how to do the things that she needs to do and get those done, but how also to take care of herself. The fairy card here, number 48, Night Light. This card is generally about intuition. So just like the dragon here with the vision, this card is about getting your intuition, talks about dreams, sometimes prophetic dreams. So maybe you're getting some sort of that inspiration or that vision from the dreams, and taking those dreams that you have, focusing, getting that vision, trusting the intuition so that you know which path to take. We've got the Mermaid card here, number 1, for belonging. Actually, the second card we've got here that's a number 1. The dragon is number 1 for vision. The belonging card is the mermaid here seeks a place to belong. She feels lonely. She feels like no one understands her and she's all alone. But then she realizes that she has that place, that sacred home within herself where she belongs. She learns to see within herself and to understand that she is where she belongs, and to find contentment in that, to feel safe in that. And our garden dragon here is the pea pod dragon. It says organize. This dragon tends to come about when there's some sort of a messy situation. So kind of like the Eight of Coins here has a disturbing, messy situation. The pea pod dragon wants you to organize the mess, the scattered feelings and chaos in your life. Don't be worried about the things that are growing out of your control. And it also talks about balancing business and self-care. So when you've got that imbalance and you're not taking care of yourself, you need to organize things in a way that you can take care of yourself, that you can find that balance. Finding the balance to overcome the messy situation so that you can make the correct decisions with that intuition. So not getting overrun by the imbalance, taking the time, taking the rest, like in sleep, resting, recharging, looking within yourself, looking into the stars, looking into vision, trusting your intuition so that you can make that choice. You can make that hard choice. And instead of getting stuck in the past, you can look to the future and figure out what you need to do next. Now we've got here the Nine of Wands. It's a a very fierce looking picture there. And this card's about persistence, courage, vigilance, resourcefulness. It talks about plans that are about to be realized, and an impending boost of assistance to reach completion, the need to realize that support is available, feeling the need to protect one's plans, progress, or creations, anticipating and being prepared for difficulties, being vigilant, being determined, directing your energy towards practical considerations rather than fears of the unknown. So this card is about action, but also about planning. It's about planning for difficulties so that you can overcome them, so that you can get through them. And then we've got here the signifier card that we drew first was the Seven of Swords. So we've got the Seven of Swords card here that is about strategy, self-confidence, searching for the truth about a situation, seeking and receiving clarity. It also cautions about possibly keeping your plans to yourself for the time being. And if you see here the little elf, he's running around working, but he's in the shadows. He's got that smile on his face. He's got his plan. He's got his strategy that he's instituting, but he's doing it under the cover of night where no one's around. So his plans are on the verge of being realized. He's making them a reality, just like the Knight of Wands there. The persistence. He's taking that strategy and pairing it with the persistence and the fierce courage there of the Knight of Wands. He's pairing those together, the strategy and the courage, to get us to our Queen of Coins. This card, she talks about tranquility, security, generosity, abundance, and satisfaction. Look at that peaceful, tranquil look on her face. This is well-rounded abundance. The model of success due to thoughtful planning and follow-through. Got that persistence, the planning and the follow-through. This card's about being in the mindset of there's plenty to go around. So this card here is well-balanced. It's not like the Ten of Wands over here with the imbalance. This card takes all of the lessons here, learning how to balance things, how to organize things, how to use the strategy and the persistence to get you to that well-rounded abundance that you need. So you've got your rest, you've got your inner work, your intuition and thoughts to get you to go past these difficulties, to make those decisions, to turn that future around so that you can have a positive change, so that this change can be good and you can be in that tranquil, peaceful mode that gets you through. Well, let's take a look here at some of the charms that we gathered and see where those give us any additional messages or information. So we've got here a charm. It says fearless. See if I can get that clear. Fearless. Now that makes me think of the Nine of Wands. She's persistent, fearless, enough. The Ten of Wands over here has to learn that she's enough, that she doesn't have to push herself past that point, that she's important. Let's take a look here. This one, this ring says trust, love, dream, hope. Clear. Okay, so we've got dream. We've got trusting your intuition, loving yourself, learning to have peace with all of that. So trusting, hope, all of that. And let's see what else we've got today. We've got dog paw, horn, smoothie cup, cactus, fan, and looks like a little fairy. So, see any messages that you get in all of this. With the horn, makes me think about music, the arts, enriching the soul, not just being the workaholic, but finding that balance, expressing yourself, finding your inner self so that you can be more well-rounded. And the cactus here makes me think of the Ten of Wands as well. She's the hard worker. She's in that arid, dry environment here on this card that looks kind of like a desert. And so you've got the cactus here that survives even in those harsh conditions. It's growing up in those conditions, but it can be very beautiful as well. Let's see, puppy dog. So we've got assistance, companion, friend. The smoothie, maybe something about taking care of ourselves, taking care of our health, learning to be balanced. The fan. That can also be about taking care of yourself, about learning to take care of your needs. If you need to cool off, if you need to get out of that desert, you need to have that break to feel better. The fairy here, she's got, I don't know if you can see that, but she's got a lot of little hearts on the back of her dress. See if I can get that a little bit clearer. So she's got all these little hearts on her dress, which makes me think of the mermaid here, who's learning to love herself, to see acceptance within herself, to know that she's not alone, that she has that peace within herself. And then we've got the paw, a track, tracking your future, following it to where you need to go, following the signs, possibly following your companions, letting them be part of that guidance, being guided to where you need to go, following all the signs to get you the guidance to where you need to go. Okay, let's see what story the cards have told us today. Once upon a time, there was an Eight of Cups. She was afraid of change, clinging to disappointing events, blinded to positive opportunities available. She was a hard worker, persisting, pushing through, overburdened, without balance, existing in harsh conditions. But she was alone, looking for a place where she belonged, looking for love and comfort and friendship. She needed rest, and in that rest, she had dreams. Dreams of hope, trust, and love. She began to look at visions of the future, and plan her next step, contemplating which path she should take and which way she should go. She learned to trust her inner wisdom, her intuition, and learned that she was more important than the things that she needed to do. She was enough. So she had to reorganize her life. She had to get rid of the chaos and learn to take care of herself, to see to her needs, her comforts, to things that would enrich her soul, to find that balance between work and self. So she began to make her plan, taking all that she had learned, getting ready to work in a better way. With a fearless spirit, she pushed on and persevered, this time in a balanced way without overburdening herself. And she was fearless. This time, after all the lessons that she had learned, the wheel of fate was able to turn back around, and she was able to experience a positive change. A change towards abundance, tranquility, and a brighter future. Okay, we're going to end today's reading with a card from our Crystal Sound Healing Oracle and an excerpt from the book Wolf of the Future by A.D. McLean. Today's Healing Sound card is number 48, Tuning the Heart, Boundaries, Insight, and Pure Potential. So we've got another insight card for today. We have lots about insight and also tuning the heart. Reminds us of the mermaid looking for belonging, looking for that connection, pure potential. So let's take a listen to what the sound is for this card. I'm going to continue playing that sound as we read today's excerpt from Wolf of the Future. This is book 3 in the Spirit of the Wolf series. The battle was fierce, blood and the dying strewn about. Tears fell down her cheeks, but she didn't try to wipe them away. Across the expansive mead hall, Dante, the man they'd called a monster, fought for survival, for vengeance, for anger. She yelled for him to stop, but it did little good and only aroused suspicious glances from those nearby. He paid her no mind, lost in the bloodlust. She watched in horror as he realized her betrayal. His eyes meeting hers for one heart-wrenching moment before cold metal met his flesh. Unable to look away, she could only watch as he barely managed to escape with his life, a trail of blood and severed limb, all he left behind. The men cheered. She cried. Mara woke, the tears and pain from her dream still with her. She felt as desolate now as she had on the night so many years ago. Clutching the sheets, she surveyed her sparsely decorated bedroom. All was quiet, yet she could still hear their screams of the dying. Swinging her legs over the side of the bed, Mara's feet rested on the floor, but she didn't stand. Her legs were rubbery and her stomach lurched, sending a wave of nausea through her limbs. Despite these discomforts, her mind very much remained on the dream and the events which took place and culminated in that terrible night. At the time, she thought there was no choice but to betray Dante. He wouldn't be reasoned with, and the lives were at stake. Although it had been a painful decision, the choice had seemed clear. Now she wasn't so certain. What if there had been another way? She thought anything was worth saving those lives. But if there was one thing she'd learned over the course of her long life, it was that the ends didn't always justify the means. She couldn't accomplish good by doing evil, not without taking that evil into herself. She couldn't come away clean and guilt-free. But he had been a killer, she reminded herself. At the time, though, few weren't. It wasn't like modern times. People hadn't sought justice through the law, but through the sword. Vengeance had been common and encouraged, respected even. In fact, more people would have understood and supported Dante's motives more than hers. In many cases, betrayal was the bigger crime. If she had done it to protect her child or parent, it would be different. But those people had been of no blood relation to her. Conventional wisdom would have been to leave and let him fulfill his deadly agenda. And there was the method of her betrayal. She hadn't met him equally on the field of battle, challenging him through combat to drive home her point. She'd cowered like the woman she was, too afraid to be the hand which took his life. That would at least have been honorable. No, she'd passed that gruesome task on to the first able-bodied warrior who would accept it. If she'd truly believed herself to be a protector to those people, fulfilling the will of the goddess by taking his life and ending the attacks, she should have completed the deed herself. Mara stood and walked across to the dresser, pulling on her robe. She stalked through the apartment, searching for something to distract her restless mind. She was too wound up to go back to sleep, and she didn't feel like going outside and enjoying the open sky and empty forests of the countryside. If she had a confidant, she would call them, but there was no one she confided to nowadays. In all honesty, there never had been. Turning on the computer, she waited for it to boot up and settled back in the chair, her mind returning to the dream. If you enjoyed today's excerpt from Wolf of the Future by A.D. McLean, and you'd like to learn more, there are links to this and all of the other books by the author in the description today. Thank you. And remember, be the you God sees.